to feeble Joe Biden, a man who's so out of it, he can't even control his own bowels. Let me ask you a question. Do you think when President John F. Kennedy went to Vienna to meet with Nikita Khrushchev to lessen tensions in the world, do you think he shit his pants?
No.
Okay, so when Richard Nixon was working out the fine points satellite, nuclear deterrent satellite limitation, his famous nuclear deterrent agreement with Brezhnev. Do you think he, crapped his pantaloons?
I don't think Nixon flinched at anything, personally.
So do you think when Jimmy Carter was at Camp David working out the Camp David Accords with Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin, do you think he crapped his drawers?
I would have to say no on that one, too.
So when President Donald Trump met with the Queen of England, do you think he dropped a deuce? What do you think?
No.
Well, let me tell you something. When Joe Biden met with the Pope, he shit his pants, and now the entire country is shitting a brick. Here's how you know this is true. If you look very carefully, they released photographs of Joe Biden before and after his meeting with the Pope. He's wearing the same suit jacket in both pictures, but in one of the pictures, the suit pants color doesn't match the jacket.
Oh, shit.
That's because the President of the United States humiliated our country by soiling his pants. How do I know that he shit his pants? I'll tell you. A Secret Service agent told me that the drug that they're using to keep him alert has a side effect of violent diarrhea. This is your president, man. Do you think Putin's afraid of him? You think Putin was shaking over their recent meeting? Here's my prediction. In the case of Putin, I don't know. Joe says we're going to put sanctions on him. Putin's got to be rolling on the ground. Sanctions.
He is. They're
going to do nothing. We're taking it. They will take it.
I know.
By the way, the majority of people in Crimea do speak Russian and not Ukrainian, just as you know. And there have been plebiscites there. I cannot speak as to how honest those votes have been, but the people did overwhelmingly vote to leave Ukraine and join Russia. Now, the leftists at Media Matters for America say, there you go, Stone is making excuses for Putin. No, I'm just stating facts. Those are just the facts. Here are the facts. Putin will make a buffoon out of Joe Biden in Ukraine, just as they made fools out of us in Afghanistan. $8 billion, pardon me, I think I have this wrong, $86 billion worth of military equipment. This makes the government of Afghanistan the fourth best equipped military on the face of the planet. Why, if you were leaving, and by the way, I don't necessarily believe that withdrawing our troops from the Middle East was a bad thing. I think it was the right thing to do. The president who started doing it, of course, was Donald Trump. But you use your sophisticated military hardware, your drones and your drone capability. If we can hit a specific terrorist at his dinner table from a satellite, then we can take out all this material very easily. Instead, we left it there because the generals and Joe want to
equip them.
To equip them. So when the president says General Milley's an idiot, no, Mr. President, he's not an idiot. He's a traitor, not an idiot.
And a smart traitor.
Well, so far he's gotten away with it.
He's winning.
Ultimately, General Milley should stand trial for treason.
This podcast is brought to you by StoneColdTruth.com. That's StoneColdTruth.com. Personally hand-signed presidential pardons, premium cotton tees for men and women, signed books such as the New York Times bestseller Stone's Rules. Also, another New York Times bestseller, The Man Who Killed Kennedy. Only signed when purchased at StoneColdTruth.com. Please take a second and check out StoneDefenseFund.com. Have you ever been looking for your AirPods or they keep breaking? Check out RogerStone.com. Pick up a wide variety of AirPod case covers, coffee mugs, men and women tank tops, sweatshirts, and more. That's RogerStone.com. But you know that will never happen.
Well, we don't know. I honestly know as someone involved in 11 presidential elections who's steeped in a democratic system, I think we're heading for a shooting civil war between Americans. That's where I fear we're heading. I pray to God that I'm wrong, but I do know who's armed and ready.
How far do you think that if that were to happen, what kind of time frame are you seeing that?
Well, it's impossible to say. Here's what I know is the overall strength of our military has been allowed to atrophy to the point that the ruling junta now, that's illegitimate, the illegitimate government now in place, would have to count on the individual state National Guards to fire on their neighbors. So will members of the Florida National Guard fire on their next door neighbors, or will they not? It's a question I can't answer. There's not enough of a large standing army to put down an insurrection. If that's what it was, they would, of course, be calling it a revolution. This government's not legitimate. I don't advocate violence. I'd like to see us win an election. I'd like to see us turn this around in an election. But if a point comes where they drag children out of their homes to try to forcibly inoculate them, or if they choose to try to take the constitutionally guaranteed ownership of firearms away from people, well, you're sitting on a powder keg. It would be a horrific thing for our democracy. I pray against it every day. I pray for peace, but it is the war state. It is the deep state. It is the authoritarian government headed by the puppet Joe Biden, who he's demented. He seems to be confused, and we know for a fact that he's incontinent.
I want to go back to the Afghanistan thing real quick because I had a big conversation with Tig about it. Now, they said 30 days to get out of there. Then they came back and they said 2 weeks. Then they came back and they said 72 hours. Now, why such a rush? And I mean, I know they got most out in that time, but that's insane to say, look, in 72 hours, make all this happen. When you give them a month and then 2 weeks and then 72 hours. And I think it was originally 3 months, then a month, then 2 weeks and 72 hours.
I think the answer lies in the fact that the Afghanis are taking their cues from what's going on around them. So when we unilaterally just ended the sanctions against the Iranians, and the Iranians' immediate response was to begin raining Israel with missiles again, when the North Koreans started up their nuclear weapons development program, when the Chinese began harassing American-flagged ships in the South China Sea, when Putin began moving his troops along the border of Crimea, do you not think the Afghanis saw this and said, Joe Biden's weak. You can do anything you want to this guy. Let's tell him he's got 72 hours to get out of town. This is exactly what they did. Weakness breeds weakness. This administration exudes weakness. And people say to me, oh, wouldn't it be terrible if the president passed away or if he had to be removed under the 25th Amendment? And then we'd have the vice president, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, like Joe Biden, is running nothing other than perhaps her mouth. And that mouth's had a lot of experience, but we're not going to go there. She's not running the country. They'd keep her in place as a puppet like they do now. But I do know that Ron Klain, who runs domestic policy for the Biden administration, and Susan Rice, who, by the way, is among those who unmasked me and others and therefore should be sitting in a federal penitentiary right now, is running foreign policy. They go to the Obama compound in the Calorama section of D.C. about 7 every morning for a Skype call or a Zoom call with the real president of the United States.
And who would that be?
Barack Hussein Obama. He is calling the shots. She has no authority. Kamala Harris, she has no authority. Joe Biden has no authority. Joe Biden is being locked in a room and fed gruel. That's speculation, but I've been around the block. I know how this works.
You have. How many? 11?
11 national presidential campaigns.
Now, where do you think the Clintons' position is in this? Because you just said Obama. So where are the Clintons playing their role? Because they got to be in this somewhere.
Well, we have to remember the Clintons would steal a hot stove. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Where are they at?
Hillary Clinton is a mean-spirited, foul-mouthed, short-tempered kleptocrat who would steal anything that isn't nailed down.
Roger, she looks like she's gearing up to run.
She is. She's gearing up to grab opportunity. So, in other words, urge Biden to do something. For example, let's stop our gas and oil production in the United States and start buying again from Russia and from OPEC. Solid advice from the Clintons.